Chapter 27 is titled, Which Faults Unlock People's Bolts? This is really important because in life, you have to admit your faults, but who actually here likes to admit their faults? That's not something I like to do because it makes you look vulnerable or weak or like you're a bad person or a bad candidate for things. But that's really not the case here. A man named Francois Duc de la Rochefoucauld a long time ago said that if we confess our fault, or we confess our little faults to persuade people that we have no big ones. So which little faults, do we choose to confess? You have to choose that pretty carefully because, like I said, you can make yourself look bad or not look qualified or things like that could really hurt you in the long run. So a man named Gerard Bonner did some research on this, and he found that if you relate the negative with the positive, that people will actually really respect you and things will turn out actually better than just putting the positive out there, because people will find the negative, because the negative always happens. So he did research with a restaurant advertisement. He did one advertisement that was totally positive, so we have a cozy atmosphere. The second one was a positive with a totally unrelated negative. We have a great cozy atmosphere, but we don't have any parking in the back for customers. And then the third one was a negative with a related positive. So he said that, yeah, we have a pretty small restaurant, but it's super cozy and inviting. So these things, when he did the study, it turned out that relating a positive and a negative can really negate the negative and make it so that people trust you a little bit more and really think that you're honest and ready to show what you've got. Because negatives will come, like I said. So there's always like a little silver lining to the negative. In the business field, there are also times, another business relation to that is if you have a product that's, say, 20% more than its competitor, so like a Samsung and an Apple or something, really what companies have to do is say, yeah, we're 20% more, but because we have this, this, and this. So we have Apple Care that does all this for us, and we have great technology and things that are worth that 20% more so that people trust them and know what they're getting out of things. Just emphasizing that negative before it can be brought to light by others. This leads me to the point of preparation. You have to be prepared to tell people your faults because they, like I said, they will find out. So preparation goes into chapter 28, and it says, when is it right to admit you're wrong? I had a track coach that always said prior planning prevents piss poor performance. This is so true in every situation. So if you plan before you're wrong, then it can completely make everything fine beforehand and you won't even have to deal with being wrong. For example, in the book, it talked about JetBlue Airlines in New York City. There was a day where there was going to be really bad weather, and JetBlue kept promising the customers that they were going to take off, everybody was going to be on time, there will be no delays, while other airlines decided to tell their customers that, listen, we're going to have delays, so you might want to get a hotel or plan ahead, that kind of stuff, and really being transparent to let their customers know. But JetBlue didn't do that. So when they were all delayed, sitting at the tarmac, upset, they really responded negatively. So JetBlue had two choices. They could have said, been a pain and said, it was the weather and we can't control that, so sorry, sucks for you. Or they could have blamed internal factors, and that's what they did. They said, you know what, we weren't prepared, and it actually turned out better, and people had greater trust for them because they thought they were honest and really open with the customers even though they made a mistake. So there's a woman named Fiona Lee, and she did a study on this and found that organizations that attribute failures to internal factors typically come out with a better perception of themselves, like from customers, and then also have a higher profit typically. So honesty really goes a long way, even though as a kid we don't want to be honest when our parents approach us on things. If we don't carry that into the future, then as a business you could fail, honestly. So this really just shows that, like I said, you're honest and you also have a plan to modify these issues, which is very telling to customers. So she conducted a study and had a company that failed in the last year say half of the reason was because, or half the people said that it was because of internal factors, so the management was not prepared for what was to come. And the other half of the company said that it was the economy's fault. Well, we didn't become successful because of the economy. So the participants looking at these companies decided that the better way to approach this was saying that it was internal factors, and they responded a lot better to that. And she found that if companies do that, typically their stock prices are a lot higher too. So it really benefits you to be totally honest and totally transparent, and then fix things when you're wrong. She also did a study, an outside study, so they didn't have any manipulation with the test and things. So they took 14 companies over the span of 22 years and looked at their failures in their annual reports. So their annual reports, and some of them said, it was internal, whatever, and then the others said it was external. Well, the ones that said they were internal, like I said, had higher stock prices. So her conclusions were honestly the best, because she decided that blaming internal factors really gave you more profit and was just totally overall the best. So a lot of times, it's hard to understand why we have these issues with admitting we're wrong, because it can make you look weak, like I said before, and you don't have it together and that kind of stuff. It can be embarrassing, to be honest. But this creates bigger problems if you don't address it. So in the short run, you might fix it, might cover it up, whatever, like a Band-Aid, but it's still going to be sore underneath. So like in a relationship, if you don't address something right away, it could come up in the future. And when it comes up in the future, it's typically worse. So if it comes up in the future in a business setting, it could cost you your company, your job, anything like that, friends. So you really have to be wary of those things. But if you follow a mistake with an action to fix it, typically you'll come off looking more capable and honest, which are two great things that companies can have. So overall, just being totally transparent to everybody, and telling people your failures and telling people when you're wrong can really make it right.